Welcome to the Swear Word. I'm your host, Brandon Swear. And hey, this is a place that is made for the chilihead community, by the chilihead community. Regardless of your spice tolerance, this is a place for you. Hey, coming up on tonight's show, we have a great one. We have 2 products on deck and a third one that will be making a guest appearance, if you will, towards the end of the show. We also have a great guest for you here tonight. We're going to be learning a lot about growing and much, much more, and just really setting people on fire. So, hey, episode 25. Let's get it. All right. Hey, welcome on in. Glad everyone's here. Seeing the chat's already going off, and it looks like y'all are having some fun in there. So by all means, jump on in the chat. If you got questions for Tom later, fire them away. And hey, we got a very fun game coming up again, and I know y'all are going to want to play in it. So go ahead and jump in the chat and let us know. But coming up tonight, we have 2 sauces on Hot or Not. We have Maestros Sauce Co. We have the taco sauce as well as Steel Hurtin' on deck. And then later on in the show, I will be announcing the third product that will be reviewed towards the end. But we have guest Tom Broome from Seriously Hot Peppers today on our show. We're going to be diving into growing. We're going to be diving into peppers. We're going to be diving into cycads. We're going to be diving into a lot. So buckle up. It's going to be fun. If this is your first time checking out the show, glad to have you here. By all means, welcome. Please share this around. We're trying to grow this here on YouTube and get all the right, chili heads in front of the space and jumping in the chat and having fun. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump on over to Hot or Not. All right. Well, let's go ahead and jump on in here. Like I said, we have 2 sauces from Maestros Sauce Co. We have the taco sauce as well as Steel Hurtin'. So let's go ahead and start with the taco sauce. These are perforated labels, so we don't need the knife, but I do like the knife. So jump on in here. If you are new to how we do things here, I don't do a 1 to 10 scale. I do a 1 out of 5, and that is based off of 5 different categories. Those categories are heat, aroma, flavor, versatility, burn. We average those 5 out, get our total swear word rating. So let's jump on into taco sauce. And let's get the spoon ready. There we go. All right, first off, great color to this sauce. Wow. Aroma just jumps straight out at you. All right. Let's go ahead and get on in here. Get a good pour going. All right. So wow. Okay. Amazing flavor on this. Right off the bat, you get this kind of a smoky, complex, savory taste and aroma all just hitting you at once. Wow. Okay. Amazing there. Let me go ahead and get this jotted down. So heat on this one. If you're new to eating spicy, this is going to be on a higher end of the heat scale, if you will, for you. So, use it. You could definitely get away with using it and having fun. Just tread lightly. I would say if you're new, it's probably going to be a higher medium, if you will. Definitely great flavor, great heat right off the bat. So let me go ahead and get some stuff jotted down here. So we'll go ahead and do that. And then aroma. as I had mentioned before, phenomenal aroma. You're getting just this kind of between the heat and or between the aroma and the flavor, this smoky, savory, extremely tasty. There's just levels of complexity that you're picking up. So let's go ahead and jot some stuff down here real quick. Hold on. Let me go aroma and flavor. Versatility on the sauce. Obviously, the sauce is called taco sauce. So you're going to expect this to go on tacos. And I definitely would 100% agree that this is going to be a phenomenal sauce for you to put on your tacos, as well as I can see this pairing very well with, at least where I'm going to, venture out and try, is going to be on some Italian dishes as well, because I think the level of complexity and savoriness that goes on in this sauce would lend itself very well for that. So let me go ahead and get that jotted down. Breakfast burritos for sure are going to be a hit with this one. So flavor, oh, right, I didn't write down flavor and versatility. Burn. All right, so let's talk about burn. Burn on this one. You get a little bit on the mid-tongue. You're getting a little bit on the back of the throat. If you are new to eating spicy, this is going to be probably a little bit too much for you to just kind of jump right on in and, you're going to feel it. We'll put it that way. So use it sparingly if you are new. However, if you've just started, you've kind of started building your tolerance, you're looking for that next stepping stone, this is a phenomenal sauce. If you're a chili head, this is a phenomenal sauce. If you're looking for a taco sauce, definitely a great one for you to grab on that. So let's go ahead and jot that down. And while we'll get this on over there to producer Jeff. Okay. Taco sauce is over. Let's get these ingredients read off while we get that input. So once again, let's go. This is Maestros Sauce Co. Maestros Sauce Co.'s the taco sauce. And let me get on over here to ingredients. All right, so tomatoes, vinegar, red peppers, Fresno peppers, onion, habanero peppers, salt, garlic, black pepper, paprika, and spices. So that overall, pepper forward taste that you're getting is definitely from the nice complexities of those different peppers dancing around together, if you will. I want to say that paprika is I want to say that's that smoky, almost kind of complexity that I'm picking up. Obviously, it doesn't say smoked on here, but that's that same feeling that I get from it. So overall, phenomenal sauce. Very, once again, a very limited ingredient in the overall complexities with this, but doing a phenomenal job on delivering, what they do with this sauce. I also do like how on the side of the bottle they include the batch number. So nice touch to be able to, bring in that small batch feel. So, all right, let's get these read off here. So for taco sauce, we have heat coming in at 3.65. We have aroma coming in at 3.8. Flavor coming in at 3.8. Versatility at 3.75. Burn at 3.75 for a total swear word rating of 3.75. Man, very solid sauce. Definitely would recommend checking that out. But let's go ahead and get on into still hurting. So once again, still perforated. So don't have to worry about that if you don't have a knife. But let's dive on in. This one's a little bit thicker, looks like, on the overall sauce, but we'll see. We will see. Getting it all nice and shook up. Just for your input, this is batch number 2. The other one said batch number 8. So this is, we are getting the first run of things. Let me get a good shake from there. Love the color of this sauce. It's got this nice, deep, dark yellow, almost like a mustard, if you will. Got a little bit of stuck at the top. Let me get that broken up. Okay, there we go. I'll just poke it. Yeah. Get a good pour going here. Break it free. All right, we will get it. All right. Working with the live show aspect. Okay. I will get this. Little on the shirt, we're good. All right, there we go. Like I said, a little bit thicker sauce. All right. Okay. You know, this is the build-up and suspense was definitely worth it. The overall flavor on this sauce, spot on for what I was expecting just by looking at the sheer color, consistency of the sauce. It is tasty. It is actually very, very tasty. I am going to get the rest of that off there. But let's go. Let's talk about heat. Man, heat on this one right off the bat. It's got a nice slow build, and then it starts to just ramp up from there. And, you know, you get this great, while the heat is building, you get the great flavors and the overall, I mean, it tastes like a mustard sauce to me. Now, without having looked at the ingredients, I have no idea. So we'll all learn out what the ingredients are here together. But heat on this one, like I said, it started out pretty nice and pretty inviting, if you will. And then as the complexities of the sauce start to build, you start to get a little bit more of the heat. So kudos there on being able to bring that to the forefront. Aroma, didn't really dive too much into the aroma. The aroma, it's very nice. It's very subtle. Once again, you're not picking anything up too crazy. You would, for the amount of heat that you're getting within the sauce, you're not getting the that pepper forward just punch right in your nostrils. So great job there, being able to deliver phenomenal sauce and really making it to where it will sneak up on you if you're not aware of what you're getting into. So versatility on this sauce, pretty versatile sauce from what I could tell. Trying to think of things that I potentially wouldn't gravitate towards, and outside of desserts, I mean, I'm not too certain what would not make the cut for this sauce. So let me go ahead and jot that down here. Overall burn on this is a lot right off the front for the mouth. And then you kind of get a little bit more to not the back top part of the throat, but like, I guess the middle part, if you will. You're getting it more in that centralized region. All in all, great burn. If you're new, tread lightly on that. You're going to, want to kind of work yourself into it. But all in all, if you're a chili head, this is a nice medium sauce. You're going to have a phenomenal time with it. Man, I will be definitely diving in on this sauce. So let me let's go here, and hand this off to producer Jeff. Okay. All right. So let me get the cap back on. And let's dive into these ingredients. So, ingredients on this are distilled vinegar, yellow bell peppers, ginger, carrots, lemon juice, onion, sea salt, garlic, devil's tongue peppers, scorpion peppers, ghost peppers, spices, dill weed, and canola oil. So definitely picking up a nice nice body from this sauce. Would definitely say, let's see here. So the first pepper listed is the devil tongue pepper. Oh, sorry, I missed one. So it's devil's tongue pepper, Carolina Reaper, Trinidad Moruga scorpion, ghost peppers, spices, dill, and canola oil. So missed the line. But yeah, all in all, phenomenal sauce. Does a great job at being able to deliver a great tasting sauce with a nice heat, but not really have it just super pepper forward pungent, if you will. So if you're one that is kind of turned off by the idea of a super pepper forward sauce, that is definitely going to be able to deliver the heat that you want without it kind of, making that aroma that you're a little bit shy of. So let's see if we go ahead and get this input. All right. All right, here we go. So we have heat coming in at 3.6, aroma 3.7, flavor 3.65, versatility 3.95, burn 3.85 for a total swear word rating of 3.75. Look at that. Man, neck and neck. These are phenomenal sauces. Highly recommend checking them out. We'll have links for everything down below, as well as on the Instagram post, promoting the show. Both of these products have already been tagged on there. So for your ease, you can jump on over there and pick those up. But let's go ahead and jump on into the interview. Hey, Tom, how's it going?
Doing good. Can you hear me?
I definitely can.
Okay.
There we go.
Doing good. How about you?
Man, doing great. I've had a wacky day today in the sense of woke up, I was fine. And then it hit about 2:00, went outside for some things, and man, my allergies have just been demolishing me for the rest of the day. Like, probably not super noticeable over the mic, but my voice is definitely, I can tell a difference. We'll put it that way. But
you sound like you're doing fine.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the, I guess the benefit of it right now. But yeah, so glad to have you on here. There's obviously, I've heard amazing things from, Johnny and many others, as well as obviously, seeing you with your Superhot appearance as well. So, right. So many things we can dive into on, the plethora. But, one thing we want to first and foremost start out with is what got you into growing?
Okay. Well, I was just thinking, when I was 6 years old, I was already doing cuttings where you root the cuttings in of coleus plants and rooting them in and planting them around the yard. So at 6 years old, I was already propagating plants. Later on, my dad started a garden, and that was his hobby. And he would if I were to turn under his entire garden, I got a whole row that I could plant whatever I wanted. And so I guess that's the way it started. I didn't really know what I wanted to do in life. When I was in high school, I was going to go towards business and stuff, but for whatever reason, I got straight A's in advanced classes in chemistry and physics. So I really loved science, even though I didn't really think about doing that for a living. And so I went through college. I took a lot of horticulture classes for fun, but still never thought about doing it for a living. And about 8 years out of college, I had to sort of look to myself and said, what do you really want to do? and I was doing houses like spec houses. So I wanted to get rich and retire and have a nursery. So I said, I'll try to have a nursery. And if it doesn't work out, then, I could be a stockbroker or whatever I'm supposed to be doing. And so I started my nursery in 1986, and I've been able to go on and pay the bills and enjoy growing plants ever, was that 38 years now.
Okay. Very nice. Yeah. I mean, it's always interesting to find out kind of the step off point for everyone as they're, beginning their journey and going on. And it's interesting that you say the idea of having the row to be able to plant in, because that's one of the things that I've noticed even with my own kids, trying to get them, of course, educated and involved with the idea of growing and gardening and just in general. It's been fun, and just to see them out there helping pick and whatnot. So it's been.
We enjoyed. My dad and I really did well together. He was a civil engineer, and he had 70 employees, and it was just the business of what he did was just overpowering, and his garden was his release, and I got to share that with my dad. So it was great. I even grew a pepper when I was 12 years old. That means I've been growing peppers for 54 years, I guess.
Wow. There we go. That's quite a feat too, as well. That's pretty awesome to think about. Well, obviously you've had plenty of amazing shots of you, with the cycads, and there's one in particular that I've seen on your profile where you're kneeling next to one.
Right.
I guess, tell us the story on that. How did that come to be? And
all righty. That is called a Dayun edgeley from Mexico. If you look at the stem that's on the left side of the picture, that stem is estimated to be 430 years old. These plants, I have a sex pair. The cycads have separate male and female plants, so the female is right next to it. But the picture there, the two plants and others were brought to Miami in 1933 by a man that founded Fairchild Gardens down in Miami, and they were moving the Montgomery Botanical Center. Were moving some plants that were in a parking area, and my vice president, when I was president of the Cycad Society, my vice president was the executive director, and he asked me if I would like those plants, and sure, so I brought them home, and there it is.
Nice. And Jeff, I think we have that picture of him with the cycads. It's the one where he's kneeling down. We'll get that one pulled up here in a second.
The dragon's breath pepper plants in the greenhouse.
Yep, there it is. That's the one. It'll get pulled up here in a second. There we go. I mean, so for those that are...
Go ahead. That stem that you see on, that I'm sort of touching, you can see the big leaf bases at the bottom. And so that's when it was growing in habitat. They only grow 1 foot every trunk, 1 foot of trunk every 100 years in habitat. So it came into Miami with 3.5 feet of clear trunk already.
Wow. That is awesome. No, seeing this monster of a plant here that you've kind of nursed along and grown into this massive, overall cycad. It's the correlation, because I've seen some of your pepper growing. The correlation of these two. You have your growing methods down to a fine-tooth comb level, because you grow some monster pepper plants. So I would assume that what you've kind of learned from cycads has also been able to be beneficial for your discoveries and experiments, if you will, within the pepper side of things.
Well, they're obviously totally different kind of plants. But I did a lot of research, and I did all these experiments while I was a landscaper. I would do fertilizer experiments with my plants in the nursery, and then I would document them all down in little books. And and I would find out things that basically nobody had even figured out how to do yet, like changing the sex of cycads and a lot of other things. So when I started growing peppers 15 years ago, I already had that experimenting mentality, if you will, and I started doing the same thing. It took me a couple years to learn everything that people in the world say how to take care of peppers. And even though you do learn new things every year, I sort of learned everything I sort of needed to do to grow peppers within the first couple of years. But I've never been satisfied with, just the plain old thing. So there again, I started experimenting, and I have a different situation here in Florida that most pepper growers don't have. I'm growing in Florida in greenhouses. So all this, well, I cut down my plants towards the end of the year and then I have to start over. I don't need to do that. It never freezes. So sometimes I've grown like red brain strain plants for 5 years straight. And I have the whole idea and how to take care of the plants is different when you're thinking about your picking at least from April, and I'm still selling boxes in February. I only have like about a month and a half or so where it gets cool and they're not flowering properly. So I have a little bit of a time where I'm not producing. And then third week in April, I'm already producing again. So for instance, like on the fertilizer, everybody talks about, well, I use this fertilizer every couple of weeks and I use CalMag and all this other kind of stuff. I'm using a 360-day NutriCoat that literally lasts all year, and it gives me a nice constant feed. But I need that because I'm not finishing in October. I'm already going through another 4 months or so into February. And so a lot of things I'm doing are sort of towards this growing all year, where I get, let's say, 2 cycles. The early cycle starts, the plants, they produce hundreds of peppers. And somewhere around July, they sort of burn out a little bit and they're losing energy. So they don't flower for about 6 weeks or so. And then the second batch starts flowering again. And then I pick those into February. And so you have to sort of do everything according to the new kind of schedule. So it's interesting, but I learned, just learn how to do that.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I mean, the whole process, to the magnitude of how many plants you're growing and everything sounds like it just on the sheer maintenance and upkeep alone sounds like quite a bit. But to be able to grow, the same plant year after year has got to be a huge benefit in that realm, because then you're not having to worry about every single year having to restart seeds. But have you noticed, because I know I've heard from some others that as the plant gets older, that it's either just not producing quite as much as it used to, or it starts to throw slightly different variations to the overall pods. Do you experience any of that? Or, I mean, I don't have much knowledge in it, so.
Yeah, well, I mean, I can't grow everything for 5 years. A lot of times in the second year, the root systems are bigger and the plants are bigger and they produce, fairly well usually. But they're also starting to get leggy where, the bottoms aren't really producing as much and the tops are sort of full. So unless you're cutting them back down and starting over again and they push out, they're going to sort of, they can't handle, being that tall and producing that well. So really, I mean, there's some plants that only grow for 1 year. It really depends on the type. There again, you have Chinense types, which are what I sort of specialize in, which those are the Superhots. But you have the annuums, and I do grow a few of those, and those are more of an annual situation. So I'm usually just growing those for 1 year. But they're in the greenhouse, they're not going to freeze, but every single type is going to vary on how it branches and that kind of thing. So, if it's not obviously producing enough, I'll go ahead and switch it out and get a new plant in that same spot. So, you sort of got to play it by ear, just like anything in nature, really.
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense. Okay. So, I know obviously you've grown quite a few, and you just mentioned you kind of specialize more towards the super hot varieties. Is that just strictly because of how you like to burn, or is it strictly because of because I know you make other products, et cetera. Is that because of the products that you do produce driving that demand?
Actually, well, I do sell peppers, but I'm only selling to 3 different sauce people, and I'm growing what they want me to grow. So, and that's all the super hots. But to be honest with you, I'm not that good with annuums here in Florida. The Chinense like a lot of water. They like, a little bit of shade, and I don't have that much problems like with the annuums because of the humidity and everything. We get a spotty fungus on them. And if you're not out there hitting them with fungicide all the time, your plants will degrade even within 6 months. So I'm just better here in Florida with the Chinense types, and the other ones I'll grow a few of, but they're not really worth the money, more or less, to try to do those in comparison to what I can pick from the Chinense types, which I'm going to get about $100 worth of peppers per plant per season, and the other ones don't do them. Like right there, you're showing red brain strains on the right, and on the left right there are my killer yellows.
Okay. Yeah, no, this picture right here is this picture right here is something that I look at and all I think of is just zenning out. Like if I could just sit in there and be in quiet and just think, look around, observe, bask in the glory, and just be with self. That is exactly where I would be and what I would be doing. So that's got to be a blessing for you to have as well.
Well, just walking through the plants, whether I need to do anything with them or not, is part of the pleasure of just looking at stuff, and peppers are so much more interesting than cycads, even though that's my main love, I guess. Now, when you grow a cycad, let's say you pollinate a female cone, you don't pick the seeds for a year. Then they won't even germinate for maybe 6 months. And then maybe 2 years later, you get a little seedling, you can get about $10 for it. Where in 4 months, I'm already getting small peppers on my plants. So they're showing something a lot faster than what I'm used to. And it's really nice because, I can hit them like with this enzyme, for instance, that will do a certain thing to them. And I'll see in a month's time, I'm seeing something happen where the cycads are just sort of sitting there, and they may be doing something, but you can't tell. The cycads don't care. That diamond edgeley in my front yard, a single stem will live 1,500 years. It doesn't care if it flushes in a year's time or not, but the peppers, they really show you a lot. So they're a lot more fun and it's fun to experiment with because you actually see it happen, shortly afterward.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, real quick, I do see we have quite a few people jumping in the chat. Glad to have y'all here. If y'all have any questions for Tom, definitely fire them away in the chat. We will get those pulled up. But that picture that we just had up there, that was your mustard bomb, correct?
Yes, those were the mustard bombs from a few years ago. Do you have the picture of the ones where they're sort of more yellow looking?
Yes, we do. Let's see if we can get that one pulled up.
That was like second generation. Interesting about the peppers.
No, the other one. Those are the killer yellows. They should look. Yep. There you go. That one. Cool.
Yes. So what happened was in the beginning, they would show a little bit of a yellowness towards where the sun was hitting them, and then I used those plants to go on. And 2 generations later, some of the plants were turning out like what the picture is right there. We found out we have our hot pepper night that I've told you about, and we sample peppers, and we sampled the yellow part and the green part of the same peppers, and the yellow part was very, very sweet. So now, and then these things don't even look like a mustard pepper, per se, but it's way sweeter and makes excellent products. It makes great verde sauce. The South Carolina barbecue that is mustard based is very good. It makes a lot of different sauces that are pretty good. Now, those people have rarely seen. Johnny's done videos of them a couple times. A couple other people have, but I have an exclusive with Damon DeGrassi and Fat Dog's Flavored Sriracha, and he gets all my mustard bomb peppers.
Very nice. Yeah, that pepper looks super interesting. Definitely looks like a tasty one. Also looks like it brings the heat. So how, I guess we'll go from there, because I know we also have some other photos of some of your other crosses that you're working on and have worked on. But as far as when did you really get into crossing, to get these different crosses?
Well, to be honest with you, the mustard bomb was not a cross at all. I've only done one major cross ever. The mustard bomb was something, it was a King Naga, and it was supposed to be red. And I bought plants, and out of those plants, I got chocolates, yellows, reds like they were supposed to, and this one mustard. And so I took that as, oh, wow, mustard, And so then I started working with it and improving it. But that's not really crossing anything. That's just choosing the correct genetics, of course, by sampling a lot of these things. And then you segregate that plant and use that for seeds. And then each generation, you get more of what you're trying to accomplish. Same thing with my killer yellow. It was an accidental yellow premetallic. I thought it might have been a cross between the red premetallic and my lemon yellow brain strain plants that were close. And but then all the plants produced the long pods like a premetallic, and I should have been getting something. Now I've been like 4th generation or whatever, but I should be getting round pods somewhere if it was a cross, and not the first plant produce a round pod. So those were all, sort of accidents, I guess. And then you see that, and then you work with it after that. The only real cross is my Omega pepper, if you have that, if you want to talk about that a little bit.
The picture of the red pepper. We'll get that one pulled up here. Yep.
Okay. I'll go ahead anyway.
Pulled up. Yep.
No, I'm not really. Okay. Especially the one in the middle. That's a very nice looking pepper right there. Yes, that one was the best one of the batch. Would you believe the pepper that's just above that was about 500,000 less hot than the one in the middle right there? Because you can see it's smoother.
Yeah.
And even though they're the same kind of pepper, there again, when you're choosing your genetics, you want to choose a plant that's producing the one that looks like in the middle of the picture than the ones, on the outside of that, because it's going to be consistently hotter. Doesn't mean you're guaranteed you're going to get those great ones, but you're more likely, and as the generations go, but that original, I was able, and this is sort of a long story, but I was in a roundabout way. I was able to get a hold of a what was called the death strain. It's never been released formally, and we've never seen it. It was around, I think, 8 years ago, but it was never released that anybody knows of. In fact, the only video was ever done with those was Ted Barris, back, about 8 years ago. And so anyway, I got a hold of a couple peppers, and I tried growing them, and they would produce a few peppers, and then the plant been the problem. And so the second time around, I did get enough seeds to continue, the work with them. And I said, well, these are terrible plants. What am I going to do? So I crossed it with a red brain strain, which was an excellent plant that produces a lot. So the Omega pepper is actually a cross between those two plants. And that's really the only cross I've ever really done. I did a little bit of experimenting, but that's the only cross I've done. My unique peppers have sort of been accidents that I just improved with choosing the right genetics.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. No. The Omega pepper I've heard, obviously from Johnny's videos in the past about it, and man, it sounds like a winner for sure. I know that he's mentioned that it's definitely up there as one of the hottest peppers he's had to date. So super excited to see what you do with the Omega pepper and where it goes.
Well, I'm working with that this year. There again, we did side by side taste tests with Primo Tallies, Reapers, Primos, Dragon's Breath, Death Spirals, which I actually like a lot, and the really hot ones, which is not all of them, but the really hot ones literally tasted twice as hot. So if you're figuring a Reaper being 1.5 to 1.6, let's say, I did sample some, and others have sampled them that are probably around a 3.2. And then I'm able to increase the heat by using certain enzymes, usually in July and August, because the hotter it is in the greenhouse, the hotter the peppers are, and combined with those special enzymes, I should be able to boost it an additional 15% above that. So that's within reason that I'll be picking something around the 3.45 range at some
Okay.
point in time. And
Very nice.
and I'll tell you now, there's something that Johnny's never even seen before. But I am working on a new pepper that are from the Omega genetics that I'm calling Omega Gamma. So for ghost pepper, it's not a cross or anything, but it's producing pods sort of like the long, skinnier pods that look like ghost peppers, but with the heat of the Omega, which means, they're like 3 times the weight of regular Omega peppers.
Very
And
nice.
that'll be good for the people who eat like a whole pepper. They'll say, wow, that's the hottest pepper I've ever had, even if they've had the other one, just because you're eating 3 times the
Mass.
weight.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. And I see Johnny's in the chat, and I also see that we have a question here from Chilipino. She asks, what's the rarest cycad and the rarest pepper in your collection?
In my collection, I can tell you what the rarest cycad is in the world because they only have male plants. I would say the rarest cycad I have is Encephalartos nubimontanus robustus, which is totally extinct in the wild. The only plants left are in cultivation, and I also have regular nubimontanus. They're both extinct in the wild. So I would say that's probably the rarest plant. I also have 3 different plants that only come from one hill in the entire world. And so they're limited. At least they're still existing somewhere. And also the next one would be Encephalar diarianus. That comes from South Africa also. It comes from one giant rock outcropping. There's a 15-foot chain link fence all the way around this rock with armed guards carrying AK-47s guarding that hill 24 hours a day. And so I have one of those also.
Man, that is just, Johnny said it best. You're saying these names just flawlessly, like it's nothing. I know I'd be stumbling and tripping on all over that. So, yeah, mind blown. But yeah, the fact that you have these in your collection is very, very cool. So,
was there a second part to that question that I missed?
No. Well, the pepper.
Wasn't there something else?
It was the rarest cycad and the rarest pepper.
Rarest pepper. I don't really have rare peppers per se, just ones that I produce myself that nobody else has. The Omega pepper is pretty rare because nobody else has any of them.
Yep.
My Killer Yellow I have not released yet, so nobody has those. And my Mustard Bomb, I haven't released those to anybody. So all 3 of those are rare, but they're not really like what I think of a rare plant or something, because I've got a lot of rare plants. But peppers, I just have what everybody else has, except for the ones that I've made myself.
Got it. Okay. Okay, yeah. So I think you just answered this, but once again from Chilipino, curious to see. This was in response to the prior question, trying to figure that out as far as the ones that are extinct. So
Yes, the ones that were extinct. Actually, they showed them in the TV show. It's in my what I call my blue house, and I mentioned the encephalitis and pointed it to it when Johnny and I were walking around in my little blue house. So yes, they're still in my greenhouse.
Very nice. Okay.
They're for sale, but yeah, they're in the greenhouse.
Okay.
Garden tours.
Right.
Yes. My nursery is by appointment only. So as long as we have an appointment, if someone wants to come out and buy plants or whatever, I'm all for it. My wife calls it the 3-hour tour, sort of like Gilligan's Island, where if you really want to talk about cycads and you want to see, because I got 20,000 plants out, so there's a lot of things all stretched out in a 600-foot area. So it takes a long time, but I'm going to talk your ear off because that's what I do. And so we're talking about cycads. Then we have to go pick them out and bring them to the truck. So, you look at your watch and it's been like 3.5 hours and you don't even seem like it,
Yeah.
So, but yes, people can come out, because I have a business. I just don't stay open, to the general public. It's, when I know someone's going to come.
Okay. So just so those that were on the audio only aspect, the question was, do you do garden tours? And then I also see a follow-up question from Chilipino saying, where do you sign up for an appointment?
Well, you just get a hold of me and say, hey, how's your Thursday doing? I work here. This is my job. This is where I live. I go outside and I work and play with plants out in my yard. Sometimes like on Tuesdays, I'm shipping things, but normally just about any morning, before it gets really hot, because it does get hot. And the greenhouses are going to get 10 to 15 degrees above ambient temperature. So in July, after about 12, 1 o'clock, you don't even want to go in there anyway.
Okay.
I'll usually wait till about 5 o'clock and then I can go, and then I can start getting into the greenhouse and doing stuff again, but yeah, most mornings are good.
Okay.
So, but we just know ahead of time, because for instance, I have someone coming out Friday and I don't want anybody else coming out because I want to give them the attention they deserve. They're going to come out and look at cycads and so I don't have lots of people, but I've done tours, people from the extension agency and the master gardeners have all came out and taken the 3-hour tour and all that kind of stuff. So I do a lot of that, but yeah, I'm usually pretty open.
Okay. It looks like we have one more question here, and then I got a few, and then we'll jump on over to the game. So from Jeremy Fowler, we have a question here that is, what is, in your opinion, the easiest and the most sustainable super hot pepper to grow?
What I tell people, they want to get into super hots and they want to try different colors, we'll just say, without a doubt, the brain strains or red brain strains are some of the most prolific. I'll get like 300 peppers on a plant during the season. They branch really well. You got reds, the yellows, but I've got that special lemon one that's even better than normal. The chocolates are some of the best tasting chocolates around. Douglas are a little bit better, but the chocolates are really good. I know you like caramels. The caramel brain strain's real good, and they'll usually produce really well for 3 years. Then after that, it's sort of hit and miss. So if you had to pick one, that's what I would go with because they're just so easy. Now, ghost peppers are pretty easy. You can get, my first year, I got 500 pods on a plant in a 7-gallon container, not even knowing what I was doing.
Wow.
So they produce very well also. Oh, yeah. In one season, in a 7-gallon container, you can get a plant that's 4 foot by 7 foot, producing several cycles of peppers. I know Dave Miner got like 1,500 on one plant at one time,
Wow.
So of course that was a monster plant, but
yeah, sounds like it.
So, But the brain strains are definitely my choice for all that, and they're excellent tasting. A lot of people don't even really look at them or think about them anymore. They do the big names, but
Yep.
red brain strains taste way better than a lot of these super hots. Certainly tastes better than a Reaper. Certainly tastes better than the Dragon's Breath, and right close to the amount of heat. And when
Yep.
you're making sauce, you certainly want something that tastes better, and even if it's a little bit less in heat, you can just use more material and have something that tastes better to start out with.
Yep. And I know the brain strain variety as a whole. It doesn't matter what color variation, what cross, whatever. I love a brain strain pod. They are definitely one of my go-tos. Right along with Primos and the Big Mama line. So those are kind of the holy trinity for me that I like to stick around. Phenomenal questions. Glad everyone, was definitely helping us get some of these great questions out there. And, Tom being able to fire away and answer these. But we have a few more questions before we jump on over to the game, just real quick, kind of a little bit more of a fire round, if you will. This is going to be more pertaining to your, time with Johnny and involvement with sending him products, et cetera, as well as the Superhot. So obviously, I mentioned it earlier. We had a special guest appearance of a product. I know it's probably not picking it up quite as well here. There we go. But this is the Seriously Evil SS24. This is the one that, Johnny lit up the Mighty Mustache with. And, I actually tried it out. What was that? Yesterday during my lunch break, and filmed it, sent it on over. It is phenomenal, packs a nice heat, and it'll let you know that it's there. So, as far as your adventures into making spicy products, whether that be tincture, I know I've seen you reckon others with the medallions, if you will, and I guess what started that passion, that outlet.
Well, I don't know. People started making tincture. It was about 5 years ago, and people started talking about making tinctures. And I already saw how they were doing it, and saw the mistakes they were making. And so I wanted to try to do something differently. And Damon made a couple of tinctures. He made one with the Everclear, like most people are doing, and he made one with rum. And the rum tasted really good. It just wasn't all that hot. But he was probably using like an 80 proof or something like that. And so I started researching what would taste good in a tincture, and I found these rums are a much better taste, and it gets a smoothness, almost like brandy. Like the dark one with the Reaper has a very, very dark rum, and as it ages, it gets a smoothness like brandy, and you don't get that with other tinctures. And so I just, I started with a 2-month one, and then I did a 3-month one. And there again, Johnny has tried every single one I've ever made. So he got the taste along with me at the same time, how the different times changed. Like the 6-month, the 9-month one was phenomenal comparison to the 6-month. It was only 3 months different, but it was already starting to get that smooth taste, and it was considerably hotter and richer tasting. But then we went to like 18 months and 24 months, and it just keeps on going. And now I'm doing the 36-month ones, and I still have 2 jars that are just as old as the one that I just filtered that's 36 months. So at some point, I'll probably be able to do a 4-year or, whatever it is. And there again, I have this, I don't know, the curiosity of the scientific curiosity on, but what if I do this, So that's what I do, And of course, we try them at Hot Pepper Night, and sometimes I've done a couple things that weren't good, but I just enjoy doing it, and it's fun to see what I can come up with.
Okay.
And so I'm sort of picky with my products, though. So I don't really get into a bunch of crazy stuff. Once I find something I really like, I try to get better at that. But so I only have like 3 flavors basically: is my lime or my lemon, my orange, and then the Reaper tincture with the dark rum.
Okay.
And I'm sticking with that.
I did see a question pop in here from Johnny that's also along the same line. Of all the tinctures that you've created, what's your personal favorite for flavor and heat?
I really like the lemon one. I used to make the lemon one with the lemon brain strains, which was Johnny's favorite pepper, a few years ago. And then I changed it to the killer yellow, which is a very lemony one. And once I started making that, it's hotter and it's just and more lemony tasting. So now I'd have to say my lemon with the killer yellows are probably my favorite all in all. The orange is pretty good too. The one with the dark rum is an acquired taste, and I do like the ones as they get longer or older. So the 36-month was better than the 6-month one. But still, I think I like the lemon. Now, the heat level, he also asked. I'm a little crazy. I may like the one you have there is 10 million Scovilles because that's a mixture with capsaicin crystals. And the lemon with 5 that I made that's 5 million seems to be my sort of favorite one. Now, certainly, I've made them. Johnny and I did a video that I made one that was 13.25. And I mean, that's very intense. I mean, it really is. I mean, it's an intense stuff. But is it my favorite if I want to do that all the time? Not really. So, the 5 million is just right there that, you still sort of bakes you pretty good, but not, sort of sending you to a different place kind of thing.
Yep, definitely.
So I'll go with it.
Okay. All right. Well, there's so many more questions that I would love to dive in on this, but we do have a pretty fun game plan. So let's kick it on over to Keep 5, Cut 5.
All right.
All right. So on Keep 5, Cut 5, this is a, if you remember it, then great. But for those that are watching and listening, this is a game where there's 10 images on the screen. In this case, it's 10 different Superhot varieties. Well, maybe one of them's not technically a Superhot, but regardless, 10 different peppers that are on the screen, of which 5 are going to be kept and 5 are going to go. So this doesn't mean that you absolutely hate this pepper. It just means in this scenario, they do not move forward. And for all intensive purposes of not wanting to, have just your lineup there where you would pick, 3 out of your lineup, I went with others, if you will. So up first, I'm going to read off these. 7-pot Dougala. And then we have the daddle pepper here. This is a Nagamorich. This is the Kangstar Lemon Starburst. The Bohemian Goat, the Infinity Pepper, the Orion. Johnny, that picture might look familiar to you. And then the Gator Jigsaw Purple. And then the 7-pot Brain Strain Red in this case. And then the Wall 7. So we will, in any order that you want to go, we will go with, keeping 5, or you can start with a keep or you can start with a cut.
I'll tell you 2 of them that I'd cut right off the bat. How about that?
Let's go there.
I've never really been impressed at all with the taste of purple peppers.
Okay.
It started out with the little UFO thing. Not very good at all. So the Orion, definitely out. The next one to the right, which is also purple, we'll cut that out completely.
Okay. See,
easy enough.
I've definitely had the purple gator, and it's good. I wouldn't say it's up there in the top, but it's definitely got a unique flavor. I don't think I've had an Orion pepper, so can't really speak to that one.
It tastes purple. And most of the purples aren't really that hot. Now, these are at least a little bit higher up on the scale than most of the peppers. But there again, I just don't like purple peppers. And I'll look at the next thing, the Kang Star, yellow one there. Not impressed at all.
Okay.
I mean, it's okay, but there's so many other things that taste good. I definitely take that out also.
Okay. Fair enough.
So let's narrow it down here.
Let's get at least two that are going to be keeps.
Definitely red brain strain, guaranteed. Right. One of my favorite of all the peppers there is in the whole world. So definitely keep that one. Also for chocolates, I mentioned it before, but the Douglas is something that people don't even hardly have. But unless you've had one, it's a totally unique chocolate pepper. It has a complexity to it that you just have to try. And it also has like a time release heat. You know, when you eat it, it takes like 30 seconds before the really heavy stuff starts kicking in a little bit. And people should be, I mean, you don't even see those hardly on people's sites anymore, but a Douglas is like something that's like one of the best around, at least as far as the chocolate's concerned. So I definitely want to keep that also.
So Jeff, it would be the one right next to where that first check mark is one of them, and then the one directly below it, that's under the X. Those are going to be the two that he just kept.
We'll also go with the daddle pepper. I mean, I'm in Florida. They've been grown in Florida for 400 years. I mean, everybody knows what daddle peppers are around here. You know, it's only about 100,000. Some people say they go up to 200,000, but it's a nice fruity pepper. It's not the best tasting fruity pepper there is, but it's an excellent one, and it's fairly versatile because it's not so hot. They're easy to grow. They produce piles of peppers, and it's definitely one of the favorites for like when I'm selling pepper plants at the festivals. Everybody wants a daddle pepper plant. So they're in good demand, which, can't hurt. But yeah, for taste and everything, I definitely like daddle peppers also.
Okay. So the top left or top right, that would be, sorry. Yep.
Okay.
There you go.
Now, orange thing, Bohemian Goat, is that right?
Yep. Bohemian Goat.
It's okay, but the Freeport Orange Scotch Bonnet is like way better. So if I have to get rid of something, I'd get rid of that.
I feel like that's a common go-between on those two varieties. It's like you're either in one side of the aisle or the other with those. I personally think I lean a little bit more towards the Bohemian Goat. I don't know what it is. I think it might just be the color, the overall color of the pod that is a little bit more alluring to me. It's definitely not like a heat difference, if you will. They're pretty well matched. But
right.
And I think so it's the pepper that we're discussing is the one that be left to the bottom, not the bottom row, the middle row of that X. Keeping it or cutting it. Sorry, I was talking about keeping it, but that's no other one. Right there. All right.
So we got to cut out one more. Tell you the truth, what, a Wall 7?
Yeah.
Is that
the
to
Wicked?
Be honest with you, I've never tried one.
Okay. I know they're not really grown often. I've had them a few times. They're hot. They're just not commonly.
Right.
I mean,
now how's the taste? Is it, for instance, I just tried the original Red 7 pot, and it's okay. It's got an average red taste, but it's nothing special, if you know what I mean. So I wasn't impressed. I mean, when you first had them, they were good, but when you try all these other things, well, it tastes sort of like a bunch of other stuff. Yeah. So that wasn't all that.
I would say that one probably falls in that same category. Then, as far as taste, if you will, nothing too spectacular that jumps out.
Right. That's what I'd have to say. Now, the Infinity, if I was to get rid of something of what we have left, the Infinity there again is one of those average tasting things. Now, supposedly the Dragon's Breath came from Infinity genetics, but I've had both, and they're way different. I do like the Dragon's Breath. They got a little bit of bitterness, like some of the Moruga Scorpions might have a little bit. So a lot of them are not the tastiest, but like Johnny will tell you, my Dragon's Breath are probably the best tasting ones he's ever had, because I sort of picked one that was a little bit sweeter and then worked with that, and I've improved the taste a little bit from the original genetics that came from England.
Okay.
But as far as this is concerned, there again, it's just, it's nothing special. So if I had to keep one now, Nagamariche I really like. They're just miniature ghost peppers.
Yep.
And they produce very well. You get piles of these little peppers all over. So they're fun to grow. They produce a whole bunch. They're no hotter than a ghost pepper. They're just like mini ghost peppers. But ghost peppers are it's sort of common now, but it's got a great taste, and it's a go-to pepper for sauces and all kinds of uses. So
yep.
I definitely like the Nagas also.
Yep. I have definitely, that's one plant that I've tried to grow quite a few times, and for some reason, I've never really gone out to go get more seeds, if you will. But the seed selection that I had, none of the seeds have ever done anything. They're all duds, which is odd because everything else was growing fine. But also it got it in the middle of a trade, if you will, back in 2017, 2018, something like that. So who's to tell really kind of what that, what really came from that. But
you just got some bad seeds.
Yeah.
A lot of the peppers don't germinate as well until the pepper material sticking to the seeds sort of gets eaten away or breaks down, depending on how you do it. And sometimes they'll sit around too long. So that might be, a possibility.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I see Johnny.
Yep.
He wants me to talk about the winter pods, I guess.
Oh yeah. I did see his comment about the Wall 7 is a better name than the pepper itself, which I definitely agree. It wasn't anything showstopper or great, but it does have a fun name, if you will. But as far as so we're keeping, just to make sure I understood correctly, we're keeping the Nagamorich, and then
yes.
Are we keeping the Infinity, or are we keeping the Wall 7?
If I can only keep one, we'll just go ahead and keep the Infinity, just because I don't have any reference on the last one.
Okay. Fair enough. Well, this has definitely been a fun one, and I had a good feeling that I know Jacob had mentioned it the last time that we started this game off with Johnny, how this would be a great game for growers to give their insight and input on their own personal experience with this. So definitely was a fun one, and being able to learn along the way is always great as well. But let's go ahead and do this. Why don't we? You know what? I keep almost forgetting this. I might as well ask. So I'm trying to stay consistent with asking this question. So for those folks that are new coming into the growing space, what is something that you wish, as a new grower, let's put yourself in their shoes, what's something that you wish you could tell your earlier self that would have been beneficial to know ahead of time? Like a helpful tip to start.
Well, make sure you water your peppers good enough. But they tell you real quick, what they want and everything. But tell you the truth, I did one thing. I'm using used coffee grounds, and I put them on top of the soil, and it takes 3 weeks for the plant to take in the alkaloids systemically. And then after that, my plants are immune to predation from like mealybugs and aphids and spider mites and thrips and stuff. So, and I've been using the coffee for a while, but I just didn't really think about using it for peppers. So I sort of struggled and had some problem my first year. with insect problems that basically I don't even have anymore. So
Very
that
nice.
is a very useful tip for someone who's just starting, or the people, because you always see in the forums, you see these people, they take their plants from the outside and they bring them inside. As soon as they bring them inside, then they get aphids all over. And if they had put the coffee grounds on the soil about 3 weeks before they brought them inside, then they wouldn't have that problem during wintertime. So it's useful for a lot of different things.
Okay. That's great knowledge. I'm already seeing in the chat people talking about how that's a very helpful tip for them. And so I guess right now what we'll do is we'll go ahead and have you tell everyone where they can find you and how they can find you. And this will be also great for the people that are just going to be listening to the playback through Apple Podcast.
All right. Well, I do have a website for both the cycad jungle and for Seriously Hot Peppers, but I haven't been able to edit them for probably going on 10 years. So now I have Facebook pages for both of those things. So if you want up-to-date information, you go to the Seriously Hot Peppers Facebook page and for the cycad jungle Facebook page. Now, if you want to learn about cycads and how to cultivate them, I have articles on every subject you can think of in that website. So it's good for the articles, but not for up-to-date information. So that's the best thing. If you do look at my pepper website, you'll see 2 email addresses. I'm using the cycad jungle without the E at AOL.com for my preferred email address. So, but people, if they send it to the pepper one, they never get a reply. So that's an important thing to let them know, to use that one, as well as, just message me through my 2 Facebook pages.
Okay. Great. I'm sure everyone will be able to navigate that, whether they're, watching or listening. So, hey, the only last thing that we have for you to do is be able to put someone on the hot seat. So who are you nominating to, come on and be a great guest?
I'm going to throw you a curveball on this one.
Okay.
Unless you've been to the festivals that I go to locally, no one will know who this is. But there's a lady named Michelle Northrop. They call her the Saucy Queen. And she's always like in the inside festivals I go to. She's always right across from me. And she is a very flamboyant individual. She decks herself out. She's got fake pepper headdress that she wears, and she promotes as well as has been making different products. I think for 15 years. She makes. They have a hot lollipop that they have a contest, and she makes those. I think they're supposed to be 2.5, a consistent 2.5 million. Those things are pretty hot, and so she's really good at products, but she's a really good ambassador for the chili community in general, and I think you'll have fun with it.
Okay. All right. Well, I will definitely be reaching out to her then, if not tomorrow, then the next day, to try to get a time squared away to have her on the show. And well, hey, Tom, there's so much that we can still cover and so much that I do plan on covering again. So we will definitely have to have you back on the show because obviously we only got to scratch the surface here tonight. But
We do.
It's been an honor having you on, and I almost forgot this, and nobody said anything.
You gotta do that. Well, I've enjoyed myself.
Yeah. I was supposed to do this while we were playing the game, and I just slipped my mind. So we'll get a good drop here.
If you have 4 more minutes, because it's certainly a ride.
Well, I did 2 drops, but we're good. Well,
now that's the Reaper one, right?
Yep, this is the Seriously Evil 24.
Got it.
Yep, definitely. Definitely feeling it radiating on the tongue and on the upper part of my mouth. Starting to feel it a little bit in the back of the throat, and we're gonna let this one burn and just ride that one out. But hey, all in all, been a phenomenal time having you on. Like I said, we'll have to figure out a time to have you back on the show and dive deeper on all the products, all the growing tips, all the et cetera. So I guess the only other thing left to do is to go ahead and close out the show. So we'll I'll say the outro, and by then that should be that 5-minute marker as we're hitting it. So
there you
go. All right. Well, hey, for all those that have been watching, and whether this is your first time checking out the show, or if you've been returning and you're in the chat, you're live, you're going on, man, thank y'all so much for being here. It means so much to be able to see y'all's questions, excitement, playing along with the games, etc. All in all, phenomenal show tonight. We had 2 great sauces on deck, both from Maestros Sauce Co. And those were the taco sauce and the still hurtin'. As there we go, it's hitting the back of the throat now a little bit more. But we had the Serious Evil SS24, and man, it has been a fun time with all the product reviews lately. I will say that for all those that are interested in pod eating videos, I will be having some of those out here soon. We'll be doing pod reviews. So, hey, look forward to that. That'll be on the channel as well. And thank you, Tom Broome, for being on the show. It's been great having you on here. Definitely looking forward to having you back and continuing that conversation. And hey, if you're trying to figure out how to start your brand, launch a brand, figure out all the things, man, highly recommend checking out podvision.io for all your needs. And yeah, hey, this is episode 25, if you can believe it. It has been flying by. And I know I've been having fun. I hope everyone else is having fun. And hey, I'm Brandon Swear, and from everything from the world of hot, this has been The Swear Word.